Hello and welcome to From Upside Down to Right Side Up, Tips for the Transition. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, your host. And this is my continuing series of conversations with women who are strong and resilient and have an inspiring story of transformation to tell. And they're brave enough to share it with us here. Today, my guest is Kim Richardson, who will share her story of struggling since childhood with depression. And then we're going to hear about the masks she wore and how she felt her role was to please everyone else. And there is so much more to her story. Hello, Kim. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We call this episode From Rock Bottom to Life's Purpose. So I can't wait for you to share your story, because I believe many of us have been people pleasers all our lives and pretend that we're happy to do it. And for some, it leads down a dark path. So would you tell us your story and in what ways you weren't showing up for yourself?
Well, I mean, from early on, my father was very abusive to my mother. And within growing up in that environment, my mother was very strong and she was able to get away. And as I grew up and continued my own journey, there was just a lot of sexual abuse everywhere I went. It would be at friends' houses. It was things that were out of my mother's control. She never knew. I mean, it was never in our home. And there were some people that we trusted and loved and just a lot of this growing up. And so my self-worth kind of became, non-existent it didn't matter to me what I thought of myself. It was what these men thought of me. And, continuing to grow into that, I started just really struggling with a deeper depression. And I would, like you said, I would put these masks on that I think we all do. And just to get through the day sometimes, when I was in a corporate type big job, I had to put, the boss mask on. When I was teaching, I put the teacher mask, then I had the mom mask, and then I had the wife mask or the girlfriend mask or whatever. And I became this really great actress when I would wear those masks. And, just showing the world that I was happy, where inside I really didn't feel that way. And I almost convinced myself that I was happy. I didn't really realize how unhappy or how unworthy I really truly felt at the time. And so, you get through life, and that was just the way that I got through it. And I know that there's a lot of people and a lot of women that get through it as well by putting on their mask. So moving through that, it just with the depression became a lot of weight gain, wrong types of relationships. I mean, I just attracted these men that were addicts, alcoholics, abusive. And like you said, it became like I had to please everyone else. I had to become the fixer. I had to become the peacemaker, just to keep. So there wasn't conflict. And I say that, but it's kind of funny now because looking back, there was so much conflict in my life. And, the harder I tried to not have the conflict, the more it came in. So, I think a lot of us do that with people pleasing. We want everyone just to be happy. We want ourselves. It feels happy if it's status quo. There isn't a lot of rumble and shake up, and we try to do that. And we hold on to things. I know I held on to things for so long that didn't serve me, whether it was personal or relationships, friendships, partnerships, marriages. I've been married a few times. So I held on to all of that for so long, and I didn't need to.
So we call this episode From Rock Bottom to Life's Purpose. So what was the rock bottom for you?
Well, about 7 years ago, excuse me, um, I was in a relationship, and our relationship was actually, for the first year, was really, really wonderful. I mean, there were some things, of course, it could be different. But as it continued to grow, and we were together for about 5 years, um, you know, we just, there just continued to be a web of lies and deceit, and drug abuse came into the picture, and a lot of things in the dynamic changed. And he was a wonderful person and a wonderful soul. And but we had a very difficult relationship. It was very abusive, on and off, moving in, moving out, and promises of things, just like every previous relationship, but kind of taken to the next level, if you would. And about 7 years ago, he committed suicide. And it was in that moment, maybe not that very, very moment, but shortly after that moment, that I came to realize that something needed to change in my life, that I couldn't continue doing this anymore. That was such a huge awakening experience and learning and growing that came from that. One of the things I really become passionate about, which we'll talk more about later, but is helping people to realize they don't have to go through something so difficult to reach that rock bottom place, to make some changes in your life, that you can put yourself first.
That's such a powerful statement, Kim. It is so true. I'm so sorry that you went through all of that. And it is, it reminds me of those patterns that we get into in our lives, from wherever they stem, right? From our upbringing, from what we experience, from what we see, and we think that's normal, and we think that that is all we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so happy that you came here to tell this story, because I believe that many viewers will see themselves in this story. I know I do, especially the mask part and some of the other stuff as well. And I think it takes a courageous person to examine what brought us here, wherever here is for you, and to consciously make changes so that we can begin to heal and start to grow. And I know the emotional journey for you must have been very difficult. So I would love for you to tell us more about that in our next segment. Would you do that?
I would. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to share.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So for everyone, please stay tuned for the next segment when we talk about the emotional journey with Kim Richardson. Till next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan.